need to listen. If we didn't import any of these, we'd get errors at compile time, maybe even runtime, where it's saying the mouse event, such as mouse over or mouse out, is possibly undefined because Flash hasn't, because we haven't imported any of the Flash code in of how to handle these keywords. So import those. Next thing that we want to do is set up another public class, similar to what we did with the thumbnail, where we set up public class thumbnail. This time we're going to call it public class tray extends movie clip. So same principle. Inside this class with your parentheses there, the very first thing we want to do is initialize a new variable. Now, variables can come in many types, such as int for an integer, string, you can get arrays, booleans, which is a true or false value, and what we're going to be using in this tutorial is a boolean variable. So we have var to initialize a new variable, var for short. The name of the variable, we're going to call it animating, colon, and then capital B for boolean gives it the type. So it says variable animating of type boolean is equal to false. Ensure you just put one equal sign and assign a value, false, semicolon to end the statement. Now, this has set up a new variable called animating, which is type boolean, and initialized its default value to false. The next thing we want to do is create a public function for tray. This will add the event listeners, such as we did for the thumbnail event listeners. So add event listener, mouse event. Now this is where it changes. Instead of having .click, we have .mouse over. So this will handle the mouse or the cursor going over your tray and to get it animated upwards. So we're going to call that function hover over. You'll see that the function for that comes in here with the function constructor and some different code which I'll explain. Add event listener also inside the public function tray. This is called a constructor, so we're constructing everything that we need later on. So every time you access this tray, it will have these already constructed for you. So add event listener, mouse event dot mouse underscore out for when we mouse out of the tray. We're going to call it hover out as the function name. The next step is to add the event listener that if we are over the frame, what to do in that instance. So it's called add event listener event underscore enter frame, comma, tray enter frame is what I'm calling this function. Again, and all of them with semicolons. Now, to set up some of these functions based on the event listeners, I'll show you what to do. So function hover over for the first one that we created for when we mouse over the tray. Again, it's got mouse event type that we've specified up here, and we're not returning any value, so we type void. Now, this use of a trace function in Flash will show you in the output down here. You'll see a whole bunch of them from when I was playing the movie for you. A whole bunch of different outputs. So the first one to pop up is true. Now this true is from the trace, so it's recognizing that we're mousing over it and it's printing true for me to see that it's working. If you're ever having trouble with your code and you need to figure out where it's going wrong, add in a trace. I'll delete that so you just can see what's going on here. So basically, when we hover over the tray, we want to change the animating boolean, the variable that we set up earlier, to true. Now, if we're hovered out of the tray, we want to have the function hover out and set up the boolean of animating to false. Now, the function tray enter frame that we had an event listener for up here is what will actually handle the tray animating in and out. So we're going to have function tray enter frame, event type, and return void, so return nothing. Now this will print, this will handle all the animation for up and down. we need to know the beginning y position, so that's the up and down position of the tray. So this is where if loops come in, similar to that in JavaScript. After the function is set up, we go if animating, so using the boolean from before, so if animating, double ampersand sign will give you, if it's animating and the target position is the target position of y, sorry. So this, I'll explain a bit better. Let me start again. So if animating an e.target.y is greater than 210, what this means is e, which we're using here, e.target refers to the target of the movie clip that we're using, which is the tray, .y, the y references the y position on the stage, is greater than the value of 210, so I'll show you here. Greater than the value of 210, so you can see that its y position is greater than 210 at default, it's 361. Then we need to do something. So if that's all true, we're going to get, I'll take out this trace again so you can just see exactly what we need. If that's true, then we're going to take the e.target.y position minus equals 5. So this line of code will reduce its y position, essentially moving it up the stage by 5 pixels each time, 5 units each time this loop goes through. So you can see it when I played the animation, it moves quite quickly. So we'll get up to it. So at the moment, I'm not over it. So if animating is false, because I'm not over it, and its position, however, is less than 210, of course, but the other part of the if statement is not satisfied. So as soon as I mouse over it, I change that if statement to true, and it animates up. This is the e.target.y minus equals 5. So it goes 5 each time. You can see it slightly jumps as it hits each 5 and goes back through the loop. So going back to the code, this loop will constantly go through until it reaches the stage where it needs to stop. Now we specify this stop feature to have it not go completely off the stage by setting up another if statement inside the same function for tray and to frame. What we need to do is if animating is equal to false and the target position of y, so the tray's y position is less than 361, which is how far up we wanted to move it, then it will go down. Now, once it reaches those points, it will stop. So, again, just grab this code out of the description, paste it in, and it will work for you. So e.target.y plus equals 5 this time to make it go back to position 361. Close off your parentheses. What you need to make sure that you've done in your Flickr search is when you go into the library, get your tray movie clip, right click on that, properties, and again in the advanced part, we're going to export it for ActionScript, check export in frame 1, and type in the class name of tray. Again, make sure that tray.actionscript file, tray.as file, is in the same folder as the rest of the files. Press OK. This will allow the tray.as file, this ActionScript file that we just wrote, to be able to reference tray on the stage there. So its properties. You can give it an instance name of tray if you like. Sometimes this produces an error because Flash can't handle multiple definitions. So if that happens, just take out the instance name. As long as you got the linkage there, it will still work. The only other thing worth mentioning is that if you wanted to, you could, instead of hard coding these x and y values, you could turn them into variables as well. So you could just type in up here where you're initializing your variables, var y pos for the y position is equal to 210. Sorry, I made a mistake. Var y pos colon int is equal to 210. and var, that will be the initial value for it. So you could go if animating and target e.target.y is greater than the y position, then do this instead of hard coding in the value. So I've hard coded it so you can see exactly where it's going. Take that out. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is, sorry, it's just briefly going out of my mind. Give me a moment. Sorry, guys. The other thing that I wanted to mention is the use of comparisons inside an if statement. So particularly with the if statement to animate the tray back down, I want to explain that when you're comparing values, so if animating is equal to false, then do something, you need to have a double equal sign. Using just one equal sign will assign the value false to animating. We don't want to do that because we get false results. So we need if animating equals false, this will compare its current value to the value that we want, and the rest of the condition is satisfied, then do something. Again, if you didn't have the plus equals here to increment it by 5 each time, and you just put equals 5, it will jump to position 5 on the y-axis, which we don't want to do. It would end up right up at the top of the movie clip. So ensure you've got that correct. Again, just copy and paste it from the description and you shouldn't have any dramas. That's the end of this part of the tutorial. If you have any problems, just send me a message or leave a comment below. Please subscribe if you've liked it and keep an eye out for the next part of the tutorial. Again, this is Drew from Pulse Multimedia. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.